Welcome to the final day of Chaos Seasons for this week. We're closing off with Freedom, and we're going to go with the Edelgard team. I guess this is as free as you can be, canonically. Edelgard did nothing wrong. So yeah, we're going to go into this, since there's no far save here, and try to figure out how to clear through this map with this team lineup that we got here.
Where?
Basically, we're going to break Dimitri's face in with Yunaka, and then figure out the rest with Edelgard. Not exactly sure what the game plan is, so I'm going to take some time to try to play this a little bit slowly, since I don't have a straightforward strategy. But Edelgard is definitely going up there, and it might require some in and out, some hit and running, which is still a massive playstyle that you can do. Not going to forget the Sigurd ring this time, which is what happened the other day. So we're going to get in there, and primarily we want to avoid Rhea's range and Lucina's range. I'm not really too worried about Lucina, being that there's no one that she can really future focus that's going to allow her to then hit me once she does that. But Rhea might be in a position to, like, when I'm backing up,
I'm grateful.
or when I'm trying to escape, Rhea might be in a position to warp to to one of my units. So that's my primary concern. So yeah, we're gonna try to figure that out. I think these two traps are real. So the first two, so I'm gonna try to play around those, and then we'll take care of it from there. Dimitri is not the tankiest, so having him on the front like this, I wouldn't recommend, but it does give you a ton of coverage in terms of him moving potentially 5 spaces, but his enemy phase is not the greatest. He doesn't have a ton of damage reduction in the enemy phase, which is one of the things that I'm waiting on. I'm waiting on a godlike reflexes skill or gust skill for melee flyers and melee calves. Melee flyers in particular. Currently you're probably just stuck running Pavis, which is not the worst thing, but that extra damage would be nice. That's really what I'm waiting on to, kind of like how Hearthvilger and can get Embla and stuff, can get like Nimble Beast, and what's the other one? Fierce Beast, and I think they can get Sturdy Beast as well. Melee flyers don't have a equivalent to that, so that's really one of the things that I'm waiting on to one, put that on someone like Triandra, who's actually a fantastic combat unit. Don't get it twisted. She's very good in combat if you wanted to not use her as a dancer, which is one of the things I was thinking about, but still not the greatest enemy phase. So you kind of, I mean, it's kind of 50-50. She's not going to really tank anything at the same time, but she's a lot better player phase-wise than Triandra. So really what she wants is either Haze Slice, which I almost gave to her, but I had too many skills on her, so I didn't want to overload, and then I ended up going with Peony, Attune Peony, in for that fodder factory. But yeah, something like that for this Triandra to help her out, just being able to tank a hit a little bit better, is really what she's looking for. I almost brought her into SD because I was like, man, there's a unit in here. I just would have to figure out how to get to work. But
I see.
Not this season. Not when we're trying to figure out how to avoid Yunaka. Which, talking about it, for this SD season, or SDR season, which is upcoming this week, it is going to be brutal, man. One of the things that is so good with having Feytubers or people having a community that is fairly tight knit, and they play together. Having a Fey community, or just, it's not really limited to Fey, but just a community overall, is that once they have identified what the meta is, oh my god, do they abuse it. It is literally everywhere. I am seeing Fjorm, Ice Stripe Fjorm, rise up from the ashes, and she is on almost every team that I've come across just practicing for SDR. And it is kind of annoying because I know how strong Fjorm is. I know how to beat Fjorm. And I was like one of the only, not the only, because there's a ton of plus 10 Fjorms out there. I was one of the few players who was still using Fjorm as a far save because I just know how well her matchups are how good her matchups are. Once she's able to meet that speed check, if you can outspeed her, you're not going to be able to take her out. Primarily, you'd probably be depending on Micaiah to get that one shot with Astra. Outside of that, not much is taken out at Ice Stripe Fjorm once she is faster than you. If she's faster than you, you just, it's GG's, it's over. So I was really looking to bring this into, bring the regular CETA team into SDR this season that is upcoming, but problem is, everyone is running Fjorm, and if everyone's running Fjorm, then I automatically lose because it's just not a good matchup. And I'll tell you why. Just a second here. Currently, for this game, I am struggling with trying to figure out which one of these traps is real because it really could like make or break my next decision here. I want to use Yunaka to hit from range, but then if that trap is real, the one up top, then she gets stuck because she does not have enough HP to clear the Hex Trap for this season. So that's a problem. And then 2, if the one below is real, then it kind of ruins my entire play, and I only have one dance, so I'm not too certain what play to make here. I might have to go forward with Edelgard and just commit to having Edelgard take out Rhea if she can. I'm not sure if it's going to work out, but that might have to be the play. I think it goes down to 19, and then from there, I think on the second combat, I should be able to take her out, but then what do I do with the third hit, you know? That's currently what I'm thinking right now, but aside from that, yeah, trying to figure out what to do in SDR right now, or in SDR for the upcoming season, is a real pain because, like I said, everyone, like, Fjorm is everywhere. I mentioned it once. I mentioned it once on Patrick's stream. He was trying to just create a pasta team build with the new Sakura. So I was like, man, this is pretty interesting. And I was like, hey, you know, Patrick, if you're having trouble with... Well, he already had the idea to try to use her, and I was just giving him the go-ahead to let him know that this is an excellent idea. The problem was that Yunaka is pretty much just sweeping you. Yunaka plus Sakura is pretty much just sweeping you in SDR, because wind sweep for one, and if she's getting to that 4th hit, you're guaranteed dead. So very few units can survive it. Aside from Rhea, because you can't wind sweep a dragon, you have to water sweep, and that's a very specific tech, especially when you don't know if that is going to be your matchup. So in terms of far save matchups, it would be Rhea, Snakes, which is 2, so that's 3, plus Fjorm, that's 4, plus maybe Hector and Formoda, 6 save units. Water sweep only works on one of those, so that's not good odds to pick water sweep just for that particular instance. I guess you could go with water sweep and then have another range unit that can cover everyone else with wind sweep, or just get someone that has fire sweep and quad. Not a huge chunk of units fit that description. Fire sweep, quad, not a lot of units fit that description, so you don't have a ton to work with there. And then yeah, we're just going to go all in here, and we're going to back out and try to run away. That's as far as I can go. But yeah, yeah, not a lot of units fit that description. And then you're down to, really, you need to quad to take out the save units. Pretty much all of them. I want to say 2 hits is just not enough. Unless you're running Igreen, and she'll have a better matchup into the blue saves. Not so much the red one. She can do it, but if they're running Shield Fighter, then it's no dice. She's not going to do it. So you really need to quad, and you're not bringing Katri into SDR. It's just not going to happen. She doesn't fill enough of a niche, enough of a role to make it work. And then you're left with Marissa, who can maybe work, but then it's kind of iffy. It's 50-50 if you're going to get it right. And then, yeah, just not a lot of options in terms of ranged units versus saves. There's so many save options that you can bring currently, and not a lot of range units that you can bring to cover everything. Yeah, you get 2 slots, but still, it's just not going to be enough. So, for the pasta, the team combination Sakura plus Yunaka, it is incredibly difficult to bring a far save that is not Fjorm or Rhea into that match or into SDR, because you're going to get swept by Yunaka, right? So that is the basis. Wind Sweep Yunaka, you can counter regular Yunaka with just running Hardy Bearing, that's fine. But then Wind Sweep Yunaka, you can't really counter that because you can't counterattack, right? So the conclusion was to bring Fjorm because she has no counter disrupt, and that also works against Sakura herself in the event that Sakura tried to come in and gravity you. So Fjorm kind of filled a role in terms of countering those 2 specific units that are currently in the most popular version of the pasta that we're seeing for SD.
Don't be seen.
And bringing that up and telling Patrick that, Fjorm won't die as long as she wins the speed check really opened up a big can of worms for me, because what it means now is that every match that I go into, I'm now facing Fjorm, and my teams weren't really set up to really deal with Fjorm, because Fjorm, not that I can't defeat Fjorm, it's just kind of annoying to have to face my own mechanics or my own favorites, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of annoying. Because it means that I can't use really Yunaka, because Fjorm is going to survive and more than likely kill. Even if you're running Wind Sweep, it doesn't really matter. So then you start questioning yourself, does it even make sense to run Wind Sweep on Yunaka when Fjorm is going to be so popular? Like, I'm seeing Fjorm everywhere. So it leaves a lot of the burden on your second range unit, who has to be Lucina. It's just too much utility to not bring Lucina. I feel like she's mandatory if you're going to go into this SDR season. And then she can't really do anything unless you're running Miracle.
What you need?
I don't really recommend it on her. Curve Shot is just the preferred special. Yeah, she can loop the Miracle because she heals 7, but I really just prefer the Curve Shot. So for me personally, that's also a no-go. And then yeah, it's just Fjorm everywhere, and it's just such a hive mind. So now I gotta try to counter that specific meta. You gotta go counter meta to beat this meta. It's kind of annoying. It's kind of annoying, but it's fun to build around just to see what people create and then try to figure out ways to counter it. I do have a strategy in mind. Currently, I'm trying to decide between going with an extra ranged unit or an extra melee unit, just to get over there, knowing that I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna come across it because it's just too popular. Sakura is apparently pretty popular given all the controversy that she's brought into the game. But that's it, man. Let me do the defense replays. Hold on. Okay, so unfortunately, I gotta do this all over again because you know that thing where you think you're recording, but you're actually on mute? Yeah, so 33 minutes gone to waste, and yeah, I'm gonna have to do this entire thing over. Hopefully, it isn't out of sync, but yeah, let's get started. Yeah, so this is the defense replays, this is the defense, this is match number 1. What was I talking about at this point? I was just showing off the units, looking at the builds and stuff. Jeez. What was I talking about here? Okay, I think primarily I was going over Rhea and how decent she is at far saving. But ultimately, she's just not the greatest, I feel, because she's not specifically built to be a far saver. In comparison to someone like Neathogger, someone like for Mortis and Hector, they were more geared towards far saving, whereas she's really built towards being a near server. This defense was built primarily to show off this Dimitri. who I don't think I'm going to be running him on defense because he's just so helpful on offense, getting the terrain effect. I find that very beneficial to have on offense. And you can just fill in other unit slots on defense with other, competent nukes, melee nukes, whatever the case may be. But this is the Rhea build. Very good against Micaiah's because no armor effective damage, but then also she can probably still lose if there's enough debuffs. But you'd be surprised. I was doing some matches in SD and Micaiah was just not able to take her out, which is really interesting. Even with the armor effective damage, Micaiah was still missing the kill. So that's just, something. Don't be afraid to use her as a far save. She is capable there, just not, as good as someone like Mythic Neathhogger. I feel like Mythic Neathhogger is really up there in terms of just being a far saver. But in any case, like I said, this defense has a few gaps in it. Alir is the main one because he's not covered by Freyr here, so you can get at him if you have the team composition to do so. And then also, I was really struggling to find a partner for Dimitri. I started off with Xander, Legendary Xander, and they worked really well together. It was okay. I was liking the outcomes, but there was a problem in terms of just too many melee units and not any coverage from range. You really want to have a combination of range and melee on defense, especially in Chaos Season, since your opponent is probably not going to have, since you can't run double saves, unless you have Sorin. But otherwise, you're typically not going to have that. So it's typically good to have some type of double coverage, just to be sure that you do end up getting a kill once your opponent is tanking. So that's what I went for here. There are also gaps in terms of where Dimitri is able to reach, in particular in regards to the Lin sniper balls. The front there, you realize that there's nothing there. They can pretty much just go around the other side and avoid the defense instead of just trying to tank. And that's what I kind of set it up to force the opponent to tank. But then also, this section that you see them going up here is pretty much open and accessible to everyone. Everyone is able to, do exactly this. And that's a negative of this particular defensive layout. It's not too much of a problem if you're able to run a near save, but I wasn't able to get a near save because it's Chaos Season, you can't run a near saver. But if I had the ability to run a near saver here, this wouldn't be a problem. I'd probably set it up so that we'd near save and not have to worry about this. But as you can see, there's the terrain effect, there's the threat range, the basic stuff that you would have liked to see. I think from here on out, I have the animations turned on, and what I do is I kind of click through some of the defense replays just to get this done a bit faster, since I didn't want it to be another 40-minute video, even though this is probably going to end up being over 40 minutes because I'm going to tie it onto the offense match as well, so it should be around there. That being said, I think this is probably the best showcase of how good Dimitri is. Bonus stats aside, he typically is able to take out Mythic Neathhogger as well as the blue version of her. He can do both, which is just a testament to how powerful the Valentine's banner is, and really the fact that we're going into a new era of units in general. It's usually a power spike somewhere around Valentine's, and this Valentine's banner did not disappoint. I feel like the strength of the units is pretty high, with the exception of Claude. But I don't know. Claude is really just not good into the far saves. He does pretty decent into everything else. Once he's not having to fight, the far savers, he's okay. But I want to say Edelgard, Dimitri, Rhea, they're pretty much the premier units on that banner. So yeah, that's again another demonstration of the team. You'll see quite often Shez just not doing anything because she doesn't really need to, even though she probably would have gotten that kill against Neathhogger herself. She is able to take out Red Neathhogger with support, or not with support. Either way, she has Miracle, so she will get all 4 hits off. Initially, I wanted to put Ruin on this defense, but the stats just didn't make any sense, and I couldn't get him to cover, again, the same threat range as Dimitri. It's difficult building with a Cav that has 4 movement, because you got to pair him with someone that will cover the same range. So I was looking at options, and you're probably looking at Seliph, Sigurd, and also Alphonse, also Xander. That's why I was running with Xander, but what I ended up doing is, again, the threat range. I feel like it had to be a range unit, and if I'm picking a range unit, it has to be someone who can quad, which means that Bernadetta, Shez, probably even Yunaka. All of those would have been the primary options. I didn't go with Yunaka here because her range would have been just a little bit too far, because of just the terrain effects that would be in play once Dimitri starts attacking, and you'd probably be able to bait her out from behind the chairs, which means that Dimitri wouldn't be able to reach, which is something that I didn't want to do. So Yunaka was a no. So yeah, it had to be Shez. Shez is really the only one that does damage by herself. Like, she doesn't need a ton of support to actually take out the current set of far sabers that we have in the game. She can do it on her own, fairly consistently. The rest of them kind of need brave hit support or sweep effects or something to be able to actually get the job done. But yeah, brave effects. Shez just ticked all the boxes. It was never going to be Lynn because, I mean, too much range for one, and she's really easy to counter at this stage in the game. I feel like because she's so popular, everyone's kind of figured her out, I feel. So this was when we started getting some losses, and it goes back to the Alir problem that I mentioned. He's not covered by Freyr, and I was really just hoping that Alir would have been able to outspeed Lynn, but I forgot to actually test it because I made this at like 2 a.m. But yeah, he does not win against Lynn because a lot of Alir's effects, Winter Alir, all of the Alirs really, are dependent on supporting allies or allies within X amount of spaces, and Feud essentially shuts that off. So he is not getting a ton of help in this matchup here, and it's just him against Lynn, and Lynn is easily outspeeding him. And also the C slot skills or the extra slot skills that are available, a lot of them are also like ally dependent, or the ones that are good are ally dependent, except I want to say, well, I don't remember correctly if the prime skills are. I think they might be, but the rest of them, a lot of them, that the main ones that are beneficial, like the form skill and like speed defense form, finish skills, a lot of those are actually ally consistent. So again, Feud neutralizes those effects as well, so you don't really get any benefit out of running them on defense against a Embla Lynn team or even a Layla Lynn team. It wouldn't work in those two situations. So after this match, I ended up having to change a few things or look deeper into the Lynn versus Alir matchup, just to find a way to get Alir to be more consistent in surviving Emblem Lynn. And I was able to do that, and I'll show you you'll see the builds, in a little bit. I think after, I don't remember if I'm not gonna let all of this play out. I didn't let all of this play out because it's too long. But yeah, you'll see that in a little bit. And also some additional changes, because I ended up having to go back into the Valentine's banner just to get, I've been meaning to get a +1 on Dimitri, just to remove the minus HP stat that he had. I really wanted to get he really benefits from having those extra stats, especially when he's attacking. If he's attacking and he wants to tank things, then it naturally makes sense that he wants to have more HP. So got that done, +1 Dimitri, which you will see as well. And I made a few other changes to the defense to make it function a bit better. Everything here is really geared towards support, or the majority of it is geared towards supporting Rhea. We have the miracle effect, not the miracle, the support effect, the status buff from Alir, the support from Shez, the support from Freyr, and then I had Ather as well supporting Rhea as well. So there was a lot of drives going to Rhea to make her tankier. I forgot that I made the whole thing play out. Ira here. Oh, Ira is like. Oh, I was mentioning in SD. I'm having some trouble taking out Rhea from range because sweep effects don't work. Well, wind sweep won't work because she's a dragon, so you have to run water sweep, which means, I mean, who's running water sweep? There's only one dragon that's really, well, I guess Nagi is really good as well. Here's the updated kits that I was talking about. There's only one dragon that's really, really prominent in this meta, and it's Rhea. So 1 versus 5 other armors. I guess you could run 2. I was saying that you could run 2 nukes, but I don't like your choices there, your options there. I don't think it's worth it to run water sweep. But anyways, what was I saying before? Jeez. What was I saying before? Yeah, so a lot of it was built to ensure that Rhea doesn't die to Lyn, and she still does end up dying to Lyn, which is so bizarre to me. Lyn is just that powerful when, Brave hits support. It's unfortunate. I guess I could make her tankier with, if she had an A skill that wasn't, well, an A skill. Cheval and Shield isn't really an A skill, it's just neutralize effectiveness. Well, I guess it counts either way. But if she had some more stats or something else, or maybe put distant counter in her A skill and then give her Hardy Bearing, maybe it would have worked out. But that's not the route that I went with, or even deflect missile. I don't know, just to make her more consistent into Lyn. But yeah, so Hardy Bearing I ended up placing Hardy Bearing on Alir because now he won't lose to Lyn because he can attack and he attacks Brave. The only way that Lyn is, well, even if she has miracle support, she probably still dies anyway because it's Brave hits. So that pretty much fixed the Lyn problem of Embla Lyn attacking into Alir, but there was an issue or there still existed a problem that you could go with Layla and inflict the sweep effect on Alir, which means that he can't counterattack and you'd still be able to get Lyn to take him out that way. That was another option, but thankfully none of that happened. It's difficult because there's so many things that you're planning against when building a defense, and sometimes they just don't happen. So, it's what do you actually take into consideration? What matters more to you? What are you most afraid of happening? Well, it's not necessarily fear. What is most meta? Meaning, what is most... typically, you're going to see Embla and Lyn together. But yeah, we keep going. The defense keeps going. Dimitri here doing his job, which is to remove the terrain, which is why I'm so high on bringing him on offense, because he does that job very well. I was considering bringing Dimitri into SDR that we're going into, but he doesn't have any defensive bulk in comparison to Xander. Xander has a ton of defensive bulk. Did I say this before? I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. But yeah, Xander has a ton of defensive bulk, and he just works a lot better in SDR, I feel like. But at the same time, team building is kind of a pain for SDR, so I don't know what I'm going to end up doing. We'll see. But there you go. Shez getting the kill there with the support from the haze terrain, making it matter. She probably still would have gotten the kill because she was already so low. Yeah, the team is doing its job. This was the earlier days in the week, so we were a bit lower. Not the most highly skilled opponents, I want to say. Yeah, probably. But later on that we got into the season, you started to realize that we just weren't going to win against everyone because they utilized the options that were available to them to get around the defense. Oh, Ira won. I thought Sigurd would have won. Oh, that's good. So, who is Ira facing? I really thought Sigurd would have won this one. Alright, so Ira is facing Tamara. Interesting. Lyn is already out, thank God. Did not want to free Lyn. Hector versus Neathhogger. Ooh, how's that one gonna go? Hector's the one that I want to win. I'd love for Hector to win. Ira would be a merge. Tamara would also be a really good fodder option. So if it ends up being Hector versus Tamara, that's a GG's. We win either way. I don't want Neathauger to go through. Do I switch teams? I wonder if I should switch teams. I really don't want Neathauger to go through. So, sabotage Neathauger or support Hector. Oh, I can't swap teams? Okay. Alright, so hopefully Neathauger loses. But yeah, the defense has been going pretty well so far. Oh, here's a... Did this one win? I think this was a loss for me? I don't remember. I don't remember what happened. Oh. Okay, I think we won this one? Yeah. Oh, this was another problem with the defense. You are able to bait out Ather here. Unfortunately, it's not unfortunate. I just didn't know who to give the Celica ring to, and I figured I might as well just use them since I have them. I gave it to her because she does a good job of not dying. I made a joke that there should be I don't know, it's probably a section in the yearbook most likely to survive, something like that, survive in life or something, some kind of stupid category like that. And I'm pretty sure Ather in here would get it. Becky is really tanky, so that's why I gave her the Celica ring. It doesn't really result in anything. So yeah, the defense would have moved either way, even if she had died or not. It would have moved either way. If I had more units to select from, I probably would set up some type of trap or just given it to a different unit. But as you can see, they take that opportunity to take out some of the units that I have. And they try to take out Becky here, but she is just... Wow. I don't know, maybe if they'd gone over there with a triangle attack, they could have probably gotten some more done, but she just keeps living, man. She's really beefy. I was saying that we need... Oh, I was considering running Sturdy Beast on her, but I actually don't have any fodder for that. I don't have any beast fodder, which is peculiar because I do have a spear Eater. Is that what her name is? The baby version of Freya. I do have a spear copy of her. I just don't have anything on her. Also interesting that the Divine Codes had nothing. Well, I guess for Mortis, but for Mortis doesn't have Sturdy Beast. Yeah, from what I was seeing, I didn't really see much for beast units aside from what Hearthvelger has, and that's not the greatest fodder. You really don't. I was thinking they'd put someone like I don't know. No, they wouldn't put the mythic. I was gonna say Jimbro, but he's a mythic. I forgot. And also Neathauger's a mythic. Maybe they could have went with the New Year's Neathauger. That would probably be a pretty decent combat manual. Yeah, that would actually be pretty decent. But then I guess since she's going to be... Well, yeah, she's going to be on the AHR banner, so they probably chose not to do it because of that. But I don't think New Year's Hearthvelger was... Well, I guess out of the options that were left, she's probably the best one to pick. Yeah. Claude here being a fraud. Gravity gets cleansed by the team, so it really doesn't matter. The only person it's hitting is Hathrun, but she has the Celica ring, so she can still do whatever she wants. But this opponent played very well. This was a really good hit and run strategy, which Claude is capable of doing because of the fact that he gets that extra movement. Even though he got gravity there, even though he got Kanto controlled there, he was still able to run away because he got that extra action. And my team has broken formation, so they now take advantage of that to pretty much snipe whatever is free. Unfortunately, Alir can't outspeed because I'm running Hardy Bearing or even Speed Tie. It would be great if he at least did that, but Hardy Bearing doesn't give you any stats, unfortunately. And also Claude is pretty fast, so I don't think we would have been able to speed match him either way. You know, if Claude was able to do more damage on the follow-up, like there was some condition that just gave him additional damage on that follow-up attack, it probably would have made him a better unit, or made the extra action matter. I feel like it doesn't matter aside from if you're trying to do hit and run. The only reason he's able to do anything here is because he's winning the speed check. I think, like in just a regular matchup, like let's say an SD, he's probably gonna die there because he might not even win the speed check. But yeah, they did a really good job hitting and running. I was also saying that Felix, I feel like Felix is a really good option for this upcoming SDR, because the main team pasta that I'm seeing is Yunaka plus what's her face? Sakura, and then that is also composed with a far save, whichever one of the 6 of them that are good. Plus, I'm seeing a lot of Lucina and I'm seeing a lot of Ira. So if you time it right, you can actually go in there and get a kill on a squishy unit, because they're going to put down the ice, of course, but then Felix can just break that with one of his actions and then get 2 kills. So if you set it up right, Felix is actually going to be, can actually be a pretty great check to Sakura teams, because all you have to do is take out Sakura. If you take out Sakura, and if you get whoever else, then it's GG's. The opponent can no longer run away, which is the biggest problem when facing against Sakura Yunaka teams. It's not even Yunaka, just Sakura teams in general, because which is why I think there's no point. Well, there's already diminishing value in cancel control, but at this stage, I want to say there's no point in running cancel control in SDR or SD in general anymore. Really what you want to focus on at this stage is just being able to get across the map. The further you can get across the map, the better it is for you. The more threat range you have, the better it is for you. Because it's so hard to chase down that Sakura plus whatever unit combination, because they can run so far away. Yeah. So yeah. Felix is definitely an option. Sigurd's value, I feel like, is increased because of the chase. You just need someone to be able to help him break the block, or just break the block for him, so that you don't waste his action. And then you can go in and just, once you take out Sakura, that whole thing falls apart, which is why she's typically so far in the back. Edelgard here, I feel like, is really good at that as well. Because if you give her she just needs to hit someone. If you have the build that she needs, which is the fortification spell, so you need to fodder an Alphonse to her, then once she attacks, she will just put down her own terrain and override the ice, which then can allow you to potentially snipe Sakura. This match, the opponent played really, really well here. I was just showing off the units. Naga being reduced to a smite bot. Really good job smiting and picking the traps here, because as you can see, they would have gotten stuck if they didn't do that, and then it would have been easy for Shez to take someone out, or Dimitri to take someone out. But from here, 4 hits, brave hits. Rhea's not living. No surprise there. That's 99 times 4. Well, I mean, actually 99 times 4 this time. Well, even though it's 38-19 so far, it's not the most damage, but it's going to be enough to take her out, I guess. But yeah, I think Edelgard, if you can find a way to fit her into your SDR team, I think she'll be a good pick as well for this season because of the debuffs. Unless you're outsourcing your debuffs to one of your far saves. But I think her and Felix are good options. Dimitri, not so much, because he might die. He doesn't have the most bulk to survive an attack. And I was considering bringing him, but then that problem. So I kind of leaned more towards bringing Xander. Xander is, again, very good. And then also Ira. But Ira also can dive. So I feel like Ira has the most
Together
we're stronger.
What's the word? Ira is the most skilled at escaping after going in and attacking, because she has the 3 movement, the Canto 3 back, whereas everyone else only has Canto 2. I can't for the life of me think of any other infantry melee unit that has Canto 3 unless you give them Brutal Tempest. If Felix has Brutal Tempest, then I feel like this is one of the few maps that having Brutal Tempest Felix is actually going to be a benefit to you, or just anyone with Brutal Tempest is probably going to be really, really good on this map. If you don't have Sakura, of course. But yeah, that was pretty much the defense replay. Not really much to write home about. We did get battered, I want to say 5-4, 5 wins, 4 losses. I want to say some of those losses were avoidable if I had planned it out better. Almost made it to rank 1, but got the butt whoop on the last day, which is unfortunate. It could have been a win if we just matched into someone else, but that's just the gamble, that's the dice roll. There were 44 people at rank 1 the last time I checked, and I think the list goes up to 50 or 60 or something, I don't know. But I feel like a lot of people are missing rank 1 this season because Rhea isn't the greatest far save, and the only other option was Edelgard in terms of bonus unit, or some built-up Gen 2 bonus unit, bonus armor that you have, which would not survive to Yonaka. So not a lot of great far save options this season. So it was a lot more difficult to build a defense that was unkillable. Although you still could, like, you could probably partner it with like Sedith or something, but still, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. Chaos season is not easy. But yeah, we got through it yet again. We'll come again next time. What I'm gonna do for defense for Astra Anima, I need to remove, I think, unless it's going to be water season again, which I'm not sure if it's going to be earth and water, but I do think I need to remove Crom from the extra slot, because I don't think, well, I'm pretty sure you can't have a unit that's not in season as the bonus unit. It won't allow you to. So I got to remove Crom. I don't know who I'll include, maybe Yunaka. But I feel like her threat range might be a little bit too much, and then that's an extra blessing, so I don't know. I'm sure I can find someone who's already blessed for Anima season. And then also, I'm kind of excited to see what the Spring Banner has, even though I'm low expectations because the last one we got was Chloe, and she was not very good. It's actually outshined by Spring Mirabilis. In the long run, I want to say Spring Mirabilis was probably the better pickup from that Spring Banner last year. Chloe's damage output fell off by a lot. She just didn't do enough damage at the gate, and then it just kept diminishing. So I don't know. I don't have a ton of hope, but I would like to get a new ranged unit from the Spring Banner. Typically there is at least one. Yeah, because I don't know what. Well, it all depends on who they put on the banner. I don't know, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah, AHR, probably holding out for the emblem unit at the end of the month. I think that might be hype. March is looking okay. I think I'm going to be saving a bunch of orbs this month, I feel like. Because I'm not doing too much on the AHR banner, aside from trying to get one. I don't even need to get one Hector, since he's on the Divine Code, so it's possible for me to even skip that. So I don't know. Let's see what happens there. Anything else? Okay, so the old man is bonus still. Ratatoskr, it's interesting. The Divine Grass terrain actually prevents. Patrick was the one who pointed this out to me, or I saw it on his stream. The Divine Grass terrain actually prevents you from warping out as well. So I thought, it's good, but unless they put it on a unit that is not Ratatoskr, a unit that can actually do something with it, I don't think it'll end up mattering anytime soon. And also just not on a dual button. You don't want that to be on a dual button. Unless I do see applications for it. Like, you can use that to potentially counter Sakura teams, but that's only for 2 turns. So what are you going to do when those 2 turns are over? You got to take full advantage of those 2 turns. If you're running New Year's Haste Rune. It's only if. But yeah. I am so tired at this point. my voice is crumbling. Yeah, man. Let's end it here. I can't think of anything else that I forgot. It sucks that I had to re-record this, man. It really does suck. GG's. See you in the next one.